Hi, Anna. It is 5:04, and I call this meeting to order. Okay. The land acknowledgement. The ACW acknowledges the stewards of Coast Salish lands, the lands in which we currently sit, and the UW occupies. We acknowledge the original and current caretakers, Duwamish, Suquamish, Tulalip, and Muckleshoot nations and peoples. We have filled out the attendance form, so we shall move on to announcements. Does anyone have any announcements from like the RSO or any group they want to promote? Grace? Then we shall move on to the approval of the agenda. I'm waiting for any motions.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve from Sky. Do we have any seconds? Second from Abigail. Are there any objections? Hearing none, we shall take it to a vote. All those in favor say, raise your hand and say aye. All those opposed say nay. All those abstain. With the voting concluded, it is 11-0. We have no minutes to approve, so we shall move on to the co-chair's report. What's happening? I'm still working with people on our final reports because we still have the Student Democracy Index report, the final report, and the elections report. I've been working with Ria on our EPP amendments for next year, and like we'll be discussing that in new business. And I'm working on a couple of administrative policies for next year and stuff. But yeah, it's a lot of clearing house for the most part, since like the quarter's almost over and like work of the committee is being finalized. So yeah, Ria.
I'm just working on the finance right now. But we're like we spent around 29K this year, and our budget was 7K. So we're trying to figure out like what are the things we need to do to make it more sustainable, and how much money should we request from next year. So that is a very big thing on my head right now. So yeah, and hopefully we get the EPP done. We pass it to committee today, so we can get it approved. Hopefully by the end of this year.
So Brendan is not here, so we'll move on to new business. We have this quick piece of administrative policy. I don't know if you all have access to that, so if you guys can click it, I can quickly give you access. While you do that, I think the easiest way is to read it because it's not that long. So, a policy to support EAC's relationship with OGR. Whereas the Elections Administration Committee, EAC, and the Office of Government Relations are focused on student representation at all levels of government and democracy, and whereas during the past year, the leadership of both AACW entities have worked to support each other's community engagement efforts. Therefore, be it adopted by the Associated Students of the University of Washington Elections Administration Committee that the EAC and OGR shall work together in pooling volunteers during ACW local, county, state, and federal elections, and that the annual educational trips will be organized between EAC and OGR, in which the EAC shall be responsible for organizing the trip on election even number years, and OGR shall organize the trip on off years, odd numbered, and that the EAC's trip shall be to the King County Elections Facility in Renton the Friday following the United States general election of that year, and that the OGR's trip shall be at the discretion of the OGR leadership, but it is recommended that such trip be planned in November and possibly be a tour of the Washington Capitol complex or another location of their choosing, just a state. And that the EAC and OGR collaborate on tabling during ACW elections, having OGR members be trained elections ambassadors, and EAC members shall support OGR in its efforts throughout the year, and that the EAC shall collaborate with the OGR to ensure the implementation of this administration policy and forwarding clause. So it's just there to codify our relationship with the Office of Government Relations, because I think we've been working well this year, and we just want to make sure that we have like a document that says like we want to continue and foster that relationship for coming years. So yeah. Any questions about that? Thank you.
I was also thinking when I read this about how OGR does Huskies on the Hill. So, for like the trip, is that kind of based off of Huskies on the Hill? When you said you recommend it?
Yeah, so I don't know if any of you were part of the committee back in like November, but like we had a trip to the elections, King County elections facility. Like we had a tour of their plant and stuff, like counting the votes after the election, which is pretty cool. But we want OGR to work with, and I want to preface this by saying we have been talking to like Brandon about this, and like he's up to it. But we recommend like going to the Capitol and like just touring the complex rather than like lobbying while we're down there. We just like explore the Capitol a little bit. I'm sure like back like February of that year, they would then go, or whatever time it was, they would go then do the actual lobbying then rather than, I don't know, just it's just a fun educational experience, I would think. So because we largely don't have a lot of time when we're lobbying down there to actually do a lot of that. So then we should say shall support, including, why don't we say including including the promotion of the Hill. That should be nice. Okay. Any other notes or amendments or comments or anything?
I just want to discuss something. Wait. Okay. I just want to say this, that the clause about like different facilities thing that we have about King County, I would not put it in the bill.
That's not right.
Uh,
What do you mean? What?
ESC trip shall be the King County elections facility inducted.
We have the UCAR money.
I am in the process of maybe reallocating that.
What? It's a fun trip. And that could be the stand.
You do not want to hear the conversation I just had about
Okay.
so maybe just remove it, and I would try to keep it as much as I can. I'm really struggling.
We
with
can
funds right
change.
now.
We can change the shall.
You
It needs to be a trip somewhere. And like, are we taking?
It's not about.
Are we taking away the UCAR money?
That's what I'm talking about. It may be reallocated to something else.
Okay. Well then,
That's what I'm saying. I would say not add to the bill. I'm trying to keep it, but
they're not gonna know anything. They're not gonna read these policies. And like, do you want to change the language? We can to make it less like
if we
concrete.
have money, if ESC has budget for you,
So shall be.
You could do like what you did for the OGR trip, like the EAC trip, be at the discretion of the current EAC leadership.
That might work. Shall be at the discretion. Oh, administrators. Oh, the co-chairs now. But it is recommended to. Let me just copy the exact same language. But it is recommended. But it is recommended that such a trip be planned for the King County elections facility. Yeah, sure, that works. Okay. Any other comments or notes on that? Okay. I'm now hearing any motions. Or more amendments or anything.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve from Sky. Are there any seconds? Second from Mara. Are there any objections? Hearing none, we shall take it to a vote. If you go back to the roll call page and refresh, you should be able to vote on that. Was Nia down there when you came back? Okay, I need to message because we need to approve all of our minutes next meeting. You should be able to refresh. There you go. And if you're proxying for anybody, just say so when you vote twice. Yeah, sure. Okay. See what the votes are at. Well, that is 11. Okay. I'm closing the vote in like 10 seconds. And also, if you want teams, just if I'm not paying attention to you, if you have your hand up, just like call in. Yeah. Okay. I'm closing voting now, and the vote is yes 11, no 0, and I didn't add abstentions, but no one's abstaining. So the vote passes, and Administrative Policy 23.20.2.4 is adopted. Okay. Then we shall now move on to 23.1.1, a policy to adopt the 2026 elections policies and procedures. So at the bottom of, in the references, you'll find the link to the 2026 draft. So if you, because that's where the meat is. Um, so yeah, but because this administrative policy will essentially just be saying we send this to the Judicial Committee and for the board to approve. But what we need to discuss is the draft itself. And if you don't have access, just request it. Because we've got a lot to go through.
For the EPP.
Yes.
You want to go section by section?
Yeah, that would be the most prudent thing.
Do you have 5 minutes after the top of the process?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. And it's the draft is at the bottom of the administrative policy. Sure, yeah, I'm sure this one. Okay. So why don't we, yeah, let's go section by section. If all of you are on it. So I just clarify what Article 1 is. It's like it's kind of basic document jargon. Then we define what elections period is. Then we update the just all the dates and stuff. Again, as we talked about, we moved the start of the campaign period to the beginning of spring quarter so that students don't need to focus on campaigning during finals week or spring quarter because everyone's going to be here and like they're going to be planning their campaigning anyways then. And it lowers the amount of annoyance students will be having during the election period. We've been talking, me and we have been talking, and we've decided, should it be the 23rd? We've been talking, yeah, that's right. But having it 4 days as just a trial period, we might extend it to 5-day voting period the year after, but we're here just to see how 4 days will work for voting. And for the campaign practices statement, we talk about including ballot measure advocates because one of the main complaints that Washburn had was like the lack of inclusion that ballot measure advocates have in the EPP because it's largely pertaining to candidates. So like we just wanted to include them whenever it mentioned candidates and whenever obviously it made sense. So that's a lot of that in the fair campaign practices statement. Eligibility for candidacy. This is something that we moved from the bylaws, like the ACEDA bylaws to the EPP. So that doesn't need to be like double said. And like it's just basic stuff like, oh, you have to be an ACEDA member, then a student in good standing, and not be someone being considered for the student regent position. And lower down, talk about because this was a big issue. A lot of candidates were not putting like 0 in their final financial disclosure forms. So that was a lot of our complaints as the EAC during the campaign complaints filing period. So we just say, if you don't put 0, we're going to consider that like a violation. We just need you to put like $0, like you know that you actually filled it out and didn't spend anything. And that's the same for the preliminary form. That there you go. RSVP. So we want candidates to. Oh no, we are going to codify RSVP forms for all of our forums because It's like that would help the student groups that are planning the forums to like know how many students and candidates are going to be showing up, and like just makes the organization better. Then we clarified the the time that elections officials can like resign from the committee from like EAC. It originally was the first day of spring quarter, but that meant that they technically could be a candidate, but also part of the committee because the filing happened like a month before the quarter began. So we just clarify that, and it also counts for ballot measure advocates. Oh, did we clarify that in like the form section?
We can clarify that.
Okay, yeah. We'll keep a note on that when we get there. So, oh yeah, we're changing the name of the co-chairs to co-administrators, but we'll still technically be co-chairs until we like establish a system where it's like one chair or something and a vice chair. But I don't know, it's a remnant from the constitutional reform from last year. Nothing changes in section 4 endorsements. Oh, we changed something with endorsements saying because some RSOs might use money to support candidates they endorse. So we just wanted to clarify that when they endorse candidates, they need to file their own financial disclosure form saying how much money they're going to be spending in the endorsement process of those candidates. But then we differentiate campaigning on behalf of endorsed candidates and then just promotion of the election. So you can have a flyer or something saying that, oh, vote in ACW elections, which will be different and not under the $50 fee or like limit that RSOs have when they endorse candidates. Yeah.
Francisco?
Yeah.
Typo at the bottom of endorsements.
Oh.
But candidly is one word.
That's what those letters were. I don't know what these lines are.
It's just like, I think because it got delete.
Hold on. Wait. Hold on. There you go. But can only spend up to $50. Okay. So section 6, campaigning. We talk about how RSOs or ACW, like campaigning cannot happen in the RSO center, or you can't use the materials or use the RSO center itself because that was an issue we had this year. No, you can't use the materials, you can't use printing and stuff like that because ours, again, that's like money from the student activities fund. Is it fee? Student activities fee, yeah. So because that's student money, you can't really use that to promote like your own campaign and stuff. And so we just want to avoid that. But yeah. But that will not affect just RSOs using it for their own official RSO purposes. Like they can obviously use it and like we just want to clarify that in the EPP. Then we are making sure that we establish the elections packet rather than like the candidates packet as it's been called to the past. Like it will include the EPP, parts of the bylaws and the constitution, like the solicitation policy, the facilities policy, the library's code of conduct. So like everything that candidates and students will need to know about elections will be in that document in the packet, and that's the thing that candidates, the judicial committee, and the EAC, or the students in general, will be sending their complaints about, rather than just the EPP and everything that they can complain about during the election season as a violation. That's the document that they can base that off of, and that the EAC will be working to make sure that's like updated like every year and like up to date. But that it's the responsibility of the candidates and the ballot measure advocates to like know all the policies in the first place. So, do we mention anywhere that like ignorance is not an excuse?
Yes.
Like in the EPP?
Oh no, it's in the bylaws.
We have to move that.
Okay.
Move that to like what are the judicial sections or whatever. But yeah. Ooh. So okay, we've been talking to Brendan and SAO about.
You should also include in the elections packet the complaint form and how to like fill out a complaint.
You can add that. Like we're not there yet.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But we should talk about this. The whole campaigning in buildings and
Yeah.
classrooms.
Yeah. You wanna talk about that?
Yeah, so again, we've been talking with Brendan and SAO. Their opinion is that we just not have candidates campaign in university buildings, even if it's like a classroom for like a lecture or an RSO meeting, because it's still within a university building. And even if they get permission, written or email permission from like the professor or the RSO leadership, it's still a bit hazy because of like university policy. So the recommendation is that we just remove any campaigning within a university building. So I should clarify that. Is this campaigning? No candidate ballot measure advocates affiliate in the course of campaigning. Okay, this is a really weirdly worded sentence. No candidate, essentially, in the course of campaigning, shall. I'm missing a word. No candidate's affiliates, ballot measure advocate, or ballot measure advocate's affiliate may. No, that works. May. Okay, I don't care anymore. So campaign. Oh gosh. Campaign. How can I spell campaign? Or interfere with the academic instruction of a university class, nor in any way campaign in any university building or facility. Facility that, okay. Let me, that, what the heck is going on? They interfere with the academic instruction and mission. No, apparently not. University. Okay. Campaign in any class, RSO meeting, or student or university.
Or library, isn't that?
That's a facility recognized. And I think we can also say that. You recognize student group meeting, nor or library. Residence hall, nor in any way campaign. I say that twice. Nor in any other university building or facility that may interfere with the academic instruction and mission of the university. Campaign in any class, RSO, or university recognized student group meeting, library, residence hall, nor any other university building or facility that may interfere with.
You can just do like in parentheses RSO, maybe.
I think, no, I'm more questioning if they allow it,
That is with,
because I don't think you guys practice.
well, no, it's our main concern if it's in like a university building. So I guess that's too broad.
I think it counts. I think that also means you could say. Yeah.
No, okay. I was just thinking of meetings, RSO meetings in like a lecture room. Yeah. Okay. Campaign in any class, library, residence hall, or any other university building or university build university. I say class. Okay. Classroom. Classroom. Campaign. Well, it's saying. Are any of you an English major? Campaign. You cannot campaign. Well, sure. I don't know. I didn't want to mess this up. Okay, that's fine. Then on F, clause F, we just add stuff pertaining to the campaign advertisements registry. So if another candidate puts another candidate's name on campaign advertisements that they did not consent to, their submissions to the campaign advertisement registry would be used as evidence to prove that they did not consent. If the candidate did not submit any campaign materials in the campaign advertisement registry, they would need more than just word of mouth to differentiate their campaign flyers in case of a violation, and it would be up to the Judicial Committee to determine that. However, EAC strongly advocates for candidates and ballot measure advocates to use this resource to better the election process. Should say their campaign advertisements. No. There you go. Then forums and seminars. Yes, seminars. So this is where we talk about the forums and seminars that we're going to hold and like just the regulations of that. We kind of move them around. So there you go. We have the RSVP form, 14 days in advance. EC shall have an RSVP form to better manage the time of the forum and determine which positions are required to attend the forum and communicate that 14 days in advance to each candidate. Advanced from the form itself?
What?
Advanced from the form itself? Like the date of the, like 14 days
Yeah.
before the forum is
Yeah.
held. You want to say that?
Yeah.
Because advance of what? Then you need like a semicolon. Then if they are so yeah, then it talks about in like RSOs that are participating in the, we need RSO, hold on. Any RSO or recognized student groups that is participating in the forum cannot endorse prior nor before, nor before, cannot not endorse before or during the forum. So like they're supposed to be endorsing after it. So yeah, that just clarifies that. Then we talk about which forums the EAC will be co-sponsoring, but saying that not all candidates are required to attend all the forums because there are going to be forums specific to each of the candidates' positions. So also, do we want the presidents and vice presidents to attend all of them?
I think we should remove the student engagement form and add it to anywhere else. I personally don't think director of programming would be into this, the student engagement form.
Well, then where are they going to go?
I think
And they need a form, and like people are not thinking.
put that in DEIMB.
Okay,
Because I think that I talked to Peyton and I'm.
I know you talked to Peyton. Okay,
It's like, it's not.
okay, fine. Well, then I can't wait for the. Well, I won't be here. I don't care. So yeah, we have the Living Communities Forum, the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Forum, the Student Policy Forum, and the Joint ASCW GPSS Forum. So each position is required to attend the forum, and not like there's specific positions for each form. So living communities, we need the campus partnerships and community relations directors are required to attend. DINB, it's the diversity efforts and programming. Student policy, it's internal policy and university affairs. And then it's the joint ACW GPSS forum in which all the candidates are attended or required to attend. But then they just need to tell us before the forum that they can't attend, then they're just fine. There won't be a violation against that, against them. Then yeah. Any questions about that or comments? Yeah, Abigail.
We were talking about one candidate posting campaign
Oh.
advertisements for the other one. Says if another candidate puts another candidate's name on, and is it possible to change that to if a candidate puts another candidate's name, just because it seems a little like clunky to write in.
So like if a candidate puts another candidate, yeah, that makes sense. Campaign to consent to, yeah, okay, thank you. And we shall move on. Okay. Then we clarify what the information seminars will be about. It's like we've held those in June and through February. So like job descriptions of the board of directors, recap of what ACW has done in the past, key dates and information for the candidates, guidelines on how to run, and the website, key pointers on the EPP, and do we want to talk about financial forms?
Yeah.
One.
I think that was already good. The part is the financial forms. And I'm trying to find like
No, that's the ethics seminar.
no wait.
D guidelines.
that's-
Oh, never mind. I did not. I guess I didn't finish reading. Okay, then that's an annoying space. Okay. Then our elections ethics seminar, which we haven't really explained well in the past, financial forms, complaints and violations process, campaign and promotion rules, and the training of the elections ambassadors. And we just moved this part up. Polls.
Yeah, like, with, does this go in, like, is it only that the candidates for director of campaign for community relations and campus partnerships must attend and everyone else is excused?
Not everyone else. I think we have language saying that
Or
all the
vice
other.
president, and everyone else is excused?
Yeah, because that's forms expected for them. But if you have like saying we'll only endorse people that show up, then that can be a regulation for you guys. But also, it's, we have language saying that although, although some candidates are not required to attend these, yeah, there you go. This first point. All other candidates in positions that are not required to attend a specific forum are highly encouraged to attend a non-specific forum so that they may participate as well. But candidates should focus on attending the forum specific to their position. So, how so?
Now the RCSA can decide, especially if RCSA doesn't want to host a forum with Greek Life anymore. Are they now bound to do it?
No, we also say in another clause, if any of the following co-hosting entities decide not to co-host the forum, the EAC shall continue to host the forum without their participation unless decided otherwise by the committee.
No.
Ooh, that's a situation that I don't know.
Just be
Uh,
nice
wh-
to them.
Why wouldn't you want to?
Because
And like, it's not about you, it's about the
because it
living
causes
communities.
Issues every single time we've had it.
Well, that just requires greater discussion. I don't know. We're here to that's not our RCSA Greek life issue. We're here to represent all
That's what I'm
living
saying, I think
communities.
it's-
No, our responsibility is to reach out to all these living communities, and like we will do that because that's the responsibility we have.
I mean, yeah, I'm just saying, I think it's overregulated.
How so?
Because you can't expect the director of government affairs to read all of this every single year.
Well, no, that's why we're reaching out to you guys. Let's move on. Let me talk about then polls. Oh yeah, that's a good clarification. So if candidates are there like 100 like in a specific ballot area? If candidates are there before EAC, they can stay at that location. However, if the EAC has indicated the location in its polling schedule, candidates and ballot measure advocates cannot campaign at that location during those hours. So it's like just clarifying that point so that we don't have any hiccups like, oh, I was here first or whatever, like just making sure that everyone's on the same page. We say that although like we'll give candidates like a voting resource, we don't want it to have the QR code to link to the voting, but only to the EAC website, which might be that's a bit difficult now. Because at that point it would be a voting booth, which because they have the link to the voting right then in there, which they should not have because they're literally telling students to vote for them and then giving them the access to link the voting link to vote. So, but then how do we differentiate? If we're gonna have the voting ballot on the EAC website, how does that work? I guess, well, we're not gonna have the direct link. Okay, well, we'll be fine. And they'll have this voting resource available to students. And if they don't have that on their like table or whatever, then that's like a minor violation. Then just talking about their platforms, the election, students' ballot, this issue. Do we want this whole like candidate handling people's phones even with like written consent or email?
I think if we do not, the board is gonna annoy us, whether they're gonna find a reason, they're gonna be like, oh, that discourages candidates from talking to people or showing them their Instagram or showing them their platform. It's gonna be okay.
Okay, if let's hypothetical here. If we have a complaint that says, then they have a photo of like, oh, that candidate was helping that person with their
Instagram, exactly the coded like introduction, they were like, oh, we were maybe just showing you our Instagram. That was literally what this.
I know, but let me and like they have a photo saying like, oh, showing like, oh, they were helping that person with their ballot and vote, but then they say, oh, here's the written note or the email that we received saying that we have their approval to look at the phone. How do we know those are the same people? Abigail?
I think that might be better just to specify that like you can show like a voter your platform, but you have to do it on your own device. Like you can pull up the Instagram or you can show them how to access the platform, but you have to do it on your own.
How do we know that it's their phone? That's the big thing. We can't monitor everything.
See the here you go. This is my phone. It doesn't look like that. It's not very
That can work. Okay. Candidates are prohibited from handling students' ballot unless written, be it on their phone or another personal. Okay, so be it on their phone. If issues with the ballot arise, can't end. Okay, how do we write that then?
They can show how to access the ballot on their own device because once they vote, they cannot access the ballot at all. What we were considering this year is that's also good in the APP when you read it, is that we take pictures and make videos of the test ballot. And that is the only resource we can provide because once someone votes, they cannot access the ballot ever again. It's just the way it is. What?
That'd be good. You can just send that to them.
Yeah. And we made that if they don't have it, it is a violation. Because a lot of people didn't have it this year. And like, I think the compromise is the written permission because vote is going to push back a lot because that's how they do it. That's literally how they do it.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So well, we'll just keep the language then. I don't care. You guys realize that's a problem next year and solve it. If the candidate or ballot measure advocate is accused of doing what is this? Oh, bribing. Okay, that's important. If the candidate or ballot measure advocate is accused of doing such a thing and can provide significant proof as determined by the judicial committee that they were not involved in a bribe, then it is not their responsibility. Even an attempt to bribe would be counted as a violation, even though it was not utilized by the students. So there was this, I don't know if you guys heard, there was like this Snapchat video about saying, "Oh, vote the wave, and then we'll give you $1, like Venmo you," and then that became a huge thing. So this is a response to that, even if because the people who did it were tangentially related to their campaign. Campaign finances, again, just put $0 on it. That's all we need. Oh, then this clarifies like all these expenses, however, does not include any expenditures incurred by an RSO. Tell me it's the same. Nope. Or university recognized student group. Yeah, student group that does not relate to campaigning if they are a ballot measure advocate. So like Washburn was concerned that, oh, what does the money we spend on campaigning for our ballot amendment or ballot measure include the spending limit we have for our RSO entirely? But like no, we clarified that, but we just want to make that in writing. Yeah, there you go. Okay, then we made the spending limit for ballot measure advocates be $60, up from 50, because with like inflation and spending stuff. And then for all candidates, we moved the different like first it was 200 for presidents, 175 for vice presidents, then 110 for all the other positions. We just made it universal, like $150 for all the candidates. And if you are in a ACW EAC not recognized ticket, that's still technically more than like the original count if you had like a full 8 people. But that was not a consideration.
And only students can file a complaint, and the only addition that we had in the violation section was it can be also against any UW student, because this year was like a little tricky because some students were campaigning for another student, and it was like hard to figure that out.
If there's a complaint, but
Oh.
it's just like a general student, how would that work? Would they,
So
how would you like require their attendance?
So you send them like judicial committee sends them an email like the complaint has been filed against you. You're required to come in, and like if they did not come in, I think they're automatically found guilty or something happens like that. So
Yeah, if they're not there to represent
Yeah.
themselves.
so like they'll hear the complainant, and if they find that the complainant is like whatever he says like kind of accurate, they give their judgment against the student. And now how it would affect them is if they try to get a job within the ASCW, like they will not get hired or they will not get paid until they do their community service hours. So that's like
Yeah, then this, okay, what does this say? Liability exists for even unintentional knowing violations unless intent or knowledge. Liability, what is this part? That is, do we want to say the whole ignorance is not an excuse?
yeah.
Just put that here. This would also apply to those situations where an affiliate commits a violation while campaigning for candidates, and those said candidates are responsible for their actions since it may create an unfair advantage. Do you have the language? It's in the APP bylaws somewhere. Also, do we want to say that if you do we want to limit our jurisdiction to campus?
Legal services would have an issue with that.
But like they put a poster on a light pole just because it's on the other side of the street does not make it less of a violation.
Yes,
it was on
but we
campus.
have jurisdiction because
If you do,
it's off campus. We have jurisdiction on campus. Legal services already does not disregard our jurisdiction over literally anything. So it's like, I don't want to deal with legal services.
okay, well find the language about
Oh, fine.
just put it there so before you forget. Okay, we have a timestamp
We
for
already passed it.
no, it was for I moved it to 5:50. I should remove. I
Motion to suspend the rules.
to
Change
Just remove
the,
just remove
just
it.
remove the timestamp of 5.
We have a motion to suspend the rules in order to remove the discussion items timestamp at 5:50 p.m. Are there any seconds? We have a second from Sky. Are there any objections? Hearing none, we shall take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against say nay. All those abstain. With the voting concluded, it is 12-0, and the motion is adopted. So there you go. We can keep talking forever. So where are we at?
Guys, let's just get the EPP passed, okay?
Almost there. Almost there. Oh yeah, there you go. The complaints policies. Withdrawal from candidacy. Nothing really changes there. Nothing changes in special elections procedures. Again, just saying what the heck procedures are. We delineate what the membership of the EAC is, because that wasn't really well defined anywhere except basically saying stuff. The co-administrator for operations shall be a co-chair. The co-administrator for outreach shall be, a co-chair. The at-large voting members of the EAC shall be nominated by the co-administrators to the board of directors through the open selection process, for which should be interns who head the subcommittees delineated in Article 2. Do we want to limit the number of interns we have?
It says in bylaws or constitution
What?
that we can only, each committee can only, I read,
Might be the policy, personnel policy.
no, I think it's bylaws.
No, I never read anywhere interns.
Really?
No. Interns,
I
in
don't
which,
think it's personnel.
can we just say, I don't want to limit ourselves, because we literally had 4, we had 5 at some point.
Yeah.
And we need a programming and a OA correspondent intern. Just say, in which interns
should be heading.
okay, now I'm so confused now.
It's fine, I'll just,
Okay,
I'll deal with this. This is,
we talk about the non-voting members. We put the president and the director of internal policy, the non-voting members. They might change that. Who knows? Then we have a representative from the Senate, because think about it. If the Constitution says voting members, but if we just put them as a non-voting member, they should be fine. Till
I
we
think
change the
we should-
Constitution.
I think Deb should be proxy president.
Well, they're technically like
Or don't give Deb.
no. Why don't we? Because just how? No, wait. Someone from the board needs to be. The ACW Director of Internal Policy shall be proxy to the President, to the ACW President in their absence. Because that's how it's like on the judicial. No, okay, no, that's Vice President on behalf of the President, but the same still works. Okay, then alumni advisor who shall be chosen based on the open selection process.
Just try to make it, like, easy.
I'm not gonna shall be chosen. No, shall be. Did I not clarify? I guess I did not. We're not doing that. The alumni advisor shall be Gesundheit nominated by the co-administrators for final approval with the voting members of the committee.
Your bill did not specify the hiring process.
That's what I'm doing right now. We're figuring it out. The co will be nominated by the co-administrators for final approval to the committee for final approval. There you go. That works. For final, yeah. Then we discussed the liaison position. So like the committee has liaisonships to the Senate once hopefully the OA passes, the UW Democracy Dogs Coalition, the UW Next Gen Civic Leader Corps, and then the Washington State Project for Civic Health. And we can always add more positions there, but like the members, those liaisons will be selected amongst the members of the committee. Then the duties and responsibilities, what changes here? We talk about the elections packet and everything that should be in it. Like here. Do you want to? That we were going to add something.
Yeah.
Did we have? Okay. Unfair advantage. And yada yada yada. Stuff. The EAC may issue candidates ballot measure advocates. I have never heard of this part, but I guess we have cease and desists.
Yeah, we do.
We never use those.
We should.
Why is complaint? Hold on, this is not section 2 anymore. Section 3. There you go. The complaints procedure. Nothing changed. Subcommittees, we just clarify how the members are chosen and then how the chairs of the subcommittees will be selected, even though we haven't really used that. And that the campaign and election subcommittee shall plan the ACID fair. We clarify the administrative policies in which they are enforced until disapproved by the board of directors or repealed or amended by the EAC. That the co-chair shall appoint members of the committee to an administrative policy to ensure like they're actually enacted in future years. Then we clarify that a policy may that the board may disapprove of a policy if by 2/3 majority, so that they can't just, we don't need their approval to approve all the policies. Then the voting, we clarify the voting process. Is this 4? Oh, that's, yeah, that's 3. So we just moved the voting process from the bylaws to the EPP. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, also change, strike down from 10 AM to 7 to 10 to 6. We do not have the manpower to have it till 7.
Okay. And that, then like we just said like we'll have voting booths in the ACIP office. I'm working with UW Libraries and Housing Food Services to have like the voting link at their front desks. And yeah, hopefully we do have laptops. The laptops that are in the meeting room in the ACIP office, I think are dead forever.
Yeah.
Unless I don't even know. I don't know what their
I don't
charger
know.
is. But yeah, that just clarifies that. What the fuck? Yeah, that works. Have a QR code voting link. Yeah. Co-administrators? Oh yeah, then if there's a technical difficulty with the voting system, the board and the president are still able to extend it or change it, but the co-chairs should request that first. So rather than if they just interpret that there's a problem, they don't just do it unilaterally. Advertising, yeah. Voting system. Yeah, that's just ranking. Tallying votes. We say that write-in candidates are viable in every round because that's kind of a thing that's been going on in recent elections. We just want to clarify that. Clarify the rules on if there's a tie, it'll be held under a special election. Then promotion. Is this really section 6? Yeah. So this clarifies stuff like saying promotion is different from campaigning on behalf of the EAC because we have voter incentives, we have our voters guide, and we're just promoting the elections, which is different, again, from candidates campaigning for their office. So yeah, and then just there's a bunch of language there. Some of our outreach strategies to like the College of Arts and Sciences and like other colleges, voters guide information on like how we'll have the print date of the voters guide, but we'll have an updated voters guide on our website, which will be up to date. And like our outreach strategies again, the ACIP Fair, an advisory panel with like our outreach partners. So we have RCSA, Democracy Dogs from Student Senate, Internal Policy Programming, a representative from the Greek Life Councils, the Office of Government Relations, and the Office of Communications. Then we have clarifications and guidelines on how voter incentives work, because we should clarify that in the future, saying that we shall never say or insinuate that you can only get a voter incentive if you vote, because that'll be bribery and illegal. So that's something that we're going to clarify both in our code of conduct and just whenever we do promote the elections, because we can't do that. And that the voters' incentives are not bound by the spending limit of like candidates or whatever. And when we will be promoting those incentives to the student body and when they're finalized. And then the last one is just, then we're talking about the documents and records that the AC will have, because there's no real like location of like the actual documents that the committee is supposed to be dealing with. Really, am I missing one? No, fine. They have too much to deal with. Then that's it.
That's it. Any other changes, guys? Motion to approve,
Stuff.
whatever.
Let them ask more.
Okay.
There was a lot of stuff.
If you get questions, comments, motions. hold on.
Do you have the ignorance thing? Did you add it?
Now I'm gonna do that.
Okay. Anyone on Teams? No. Oh, Angelina.
And then
Okay.
background.
We are hearing any comments, amendments, motions.
No, I don't have any problems.
Motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve from Sky, second from Madison. Are there any objections? We shall take it to a vote then. Let me put it up. Okay, we're going to be voting technically on the bill, which essentially will be approving the thing. So, oh, I got to the screen show. So, okay, hold on. Let me make sure to refresh your page. Let me add the question. Thank you. Oops, no, not that. Nope, 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 nope. We need to keep the first one for record purposes. I'm going to say. Don't vote on that one. Yes, then hold on. Then, yeah, refresh again. Okay, I'll vote for you. Yeah, again. Oh, did you vote?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Democracy in action. So hungry.
Also, guys, while you're voting, just letting you know that I talked with the F&B director. For next year, we'll have voter stipend, like poll worker stipend. It's $100 for 6 or 7 hours. We're not gonna count, but I expect you guys to work 6, 7 hours. We'll probably have like 13 to 15 poll workers.
6, 7 hours total.
Yeah,
Okay.
for the full
for the 4 days.
yeah, for 4 days. That's like.
He hasn't voted yet.
I don't think that's it.
I'm doing.
Hopefully next year.
Okay.
Next.
Angelina, can you vote?
Also, yes, please remember we have our end of the year celebration on May 30th.
Yes.
We just ordered pizzas.
Where can I vote?
We don't have any allergies.
Go to the agenda. It's going to be roll call at the top.
We're gonna have cheese. pizzas.
Okay.
Anyone else that has?
The
any
link's going to be there. My gosh, we're almost there. Bong 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 bong. Bong. Ooh, did people vote in the one that said don't vote?
Wait, is it where is it? I don't see the vote.
Hold on. Bong 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 bong. Okay, I'm showing the agenda on screen. So it's gonna be roll call.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Hold on. If you accidentally voted in AP 23.2.4,
Okay.
actually
Yeah.
vote in AP 23.1.1. Almost there. We need at least 11 people.
Okay, I finished.
What are we missing? And
Do you have Ethan?
no. Oh, did you vote in the don't vote one?
Me?
No, Sky.
I voted in both.
Oh, well, I don't see you twice on the last one. Then you should.
Do you see mine, Francisco?
I do. Thank you.
Okay.
Then Stella, I see your votes. Chloe, Abigail, Mara, Madison. Yeah, okay. Now we just need Ethan's vote. I know you're fine.
Okay.
There you go. With we have now achieved a quorum of vote. The vote is 11 to 0 to 0, and Administrative Policy 23.1.1 to adopt the elections policies and procedures for 2026 is approved.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn from Rhea. Are there any seconds? Second from Madison. Are there no objections? We should now take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. All those abstaining. With the voting concluded, it is 10 to 1 to 0, and we are adjourned at 6:04. Thank you, guys. I've been seeing you guys' comments. I have to look at that again. All right.
No, no rush. I was just wondering if you bought them. I didn't have many questions, I don't think.
Okay.